What's up, guys? In this installment on Before They're Famous, 15 startup pivots to fame, we're going to be going through two stories now. That is of Nokia and PayPal. Now, if you want to hear the stories, stick with me right now.
Ask Alex. Ask Alex. Because you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah.
Now, Nokia has a pretty long history. But did you know it started out as a wood pulp mill? Now, the history of Nokia can be tracked back to the 1800s, like no joke. Nokia started as a paper company. It was 1865, and the mining engineer Frederick Idestam established a wood pulp mill next to the Tammerkoski Rapids in the southwest of Finland. 3 years later, he opened a second mill close to a town called Nokia. Idestam went on to formally name his business Nokia Aktiebolag, Nokia Company. Shortly after the First World War, Nokia was close to bankruptcy, and the nearby Finnish rubber works, maker of galoshes, hoses, tires, bought the firm in order to ensure a power supply. A few years later, the group acquired the Finnish Cable Works, exporter of telephone and electricity cables to the Soviet Union, and the start of Nokia's electronics business. This Nokia Corporation was born, focusing on 5 distinct business areas: cables, electronics, forestry, rubber, and power generation. In 1960, Nokia moved into the telecommunications pie. The cables arm set up an internal electronics department where a team worked on radio transmission equipment. In 1982, Nokia introduced its first car phone with the grand title of Mobile Senator. Its first handheld mobile arrived in 1987 and weighed a hefty 0.7 kilograms or 1.7 pounds, depending what country you're in. Officially called the Mobile City Man, it soon became known as the Gorba after Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev was pictured using one. In the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s, paper, tires, footwear, TVs, computer, robots, chemicals, and military equipment were slowly exited, leaving communications as Nokia's focus. During 1999, the company released the Nokia 3210 and then the 3310, which became one of the most popular consumer electronics of all time, and I had one too, selling well over 100 million units. The Nokia 1100, which came out in 2003, attracted equally monstrous levels of interest. Unfortunately, though, the glory years wouldn't last on forever. They sold Nokia's devices and services division to Microsoft for $7.2 billion. And unfortunately, Nokia's not really been heard of anymore. There we go, guys. Now we're going to get into PayPal. You know, PayPal originated as a way to exchange money via Palm Pilots called Confinity. Okay, the bill for lunch arrives, but you've left your wallet in the car. Your lunchmate doesn't want to pick up the tab, so she pulls out a Palm 3, beams you a little program called PayPal, and suggests you beam back your share of the bill. Later that day, the cash comes out of your account and drops into hers. That scenario should be a reality by September when Confinity, a Palo Alto, California software startup, launches PayPal, an application that will allow individuals to beam sums of money between handheld devices such as mobile phones, Palm Pilots, and pagers. All these devices will become one day just like your wallet, said Confinity CEO Peter Thiel. Every day, one of your friends will become like a virtual miniature ATM. In Thiel's case, though, it's a pretty fat wallet. Last week at PayPal's launch party, venture capital firm Nokia Ventures used the software to beam $3 million to Confinity through Thiel's Palm Pilot. The whole process took about 5 seconds. This is literally an article from 1999 when PayPal first launched. Crazy, right? Given what you know about it today. PayPal pivoted not once, not twice, but at least 5 times before finding the innovative business model that led to its success. PayPal was founded by Max Levchin and Peter Thiel, who met at a lecture Thiel gave at Stanford in the summer of 1998 on the dangers of concentrated governmental power. The following week, Levchin pitched him ideas for startups. The one Thiel liked best involved cryptography for handheld devices. The company was called FieldLink and did encryption for phones. The issue was they were entirely dependent on someone building an actual application of it. Sort of like blockchain these days. After more than a year of getting nowhere fast, the next pivot was to move cash on mobile phones. They figured it would take years before they could actually do that and didn't have the funding, so that wasn't going to work. So they needed to do something in the interim before phones took off. Thank you, Nokia. They then renamed the company Confinity and altered their strategy to build another actual application of this themselves and beam IOUs from Palm Pilot to Palm Pilot. Reid Hoffman of LinkedIn fame went to a board meeting and raised a bit of an issue. Not everyone, even in Silicon Valley, had Palm Pilots. The espoused use case was to split restaurant bills, so he said, go to a restaurant and see how many people have them. This will only work if everyone has one. As an aside, PayPal got James Doohan, widely known for his role as Scotty on Star Trek, as the company's official spokesman. I've been beaming people up my whole career, Doohan quipped. But this is the first time I've ever been able to beam money. Scotty. Thiel wrote that it was a terrible idea in hindsight. No one cares about Scotty. Stop being such a nerd. They care about Kirk. Priceline got Kirk. Clearly, Palm Pilots didn't work either. So once they changed, once again, they basically just changed the whole course and pivoted. Max came up with the idea of doing email payments, and Scott Bannister and Reid thought it was a good idea. If you only have Palm Pilots, you don't have enough density, so they would do Palm Pilots and email. They quickly found email grew, and no one used it for Palm Pilots. Kill your darlings. The final pivot was to focus just on email payments and the web. These 5 pivots happened in 15 months. They called it PayPal, and it was specifically for the web, so a person could email money to someone else. Then eBayers discovered PayPal, and the team wondered what the hell this eBay thing was. They discovered these were their real users and their use case. They competed against BillPoint, owned by eBay, but they became the dominant platform. As a side note, they competed with Elon Musk, who had founded a company called X.com. And in short, they thought it made sense not to just compete, and they just merged, doing so in March 2000. Shitstorms ensued with constant arguments about the code languages, etc. It's actually a great book that you should read about PayPal. I highly recommend it. Sort of like Hatching Twitter, if you've read that about Twitter. Image results for Confinity. They went public in April 2002, and eBay bought them in July for 1.5 billion, which closed in the October. Reid Hoffman said, I couldn't have drawn a roadmap. We discovered a future as it happened. Now, PayPal's culture encouraged entrepreneurship. That's the reason the whole PayPal mafia evolved. At PayPal, we first and foremost hired people always looking for those that could form companies, and many did, said Levchin in an interview. A key interview question was, are you thinking of starting your own company after this? Most said yes. Most of them did. You'll find that actually a lot of the founders that came out of PayPal will be companies that we'll be talking about in this series, as well as some of the ones that you know, including huge companies like Yelp to 500 startups and even LinkedIn. Guys, I hope that was really useful to you. If you really found that sort of quite educational and informative as understanding like the history of some of the companies that you know, please feel free to share it with your friends. Thanks, guys.